You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show, the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers. In fact, we don't have a lot of callers left. I tried to wait as long as I could to try to make sure that we don't lose any tomorrow. It's after 7 o'clock. I think I've waited long enough. So why don't we get started? And what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to go in reverse because a lot of calls yesterday got skipped. So if we can reclaim a couple of those, we'll go ahead and do that. But let's get started. Hold on. Let's get started with Nate.
Hey there, Pack Daddy. It's Nate. Just wanted to call in with some Saturday sort of pregame thoughts. But first of all, I'm sure this I hope it's going to be discussed. But I never thought that I would say this, but Aaron Jones.
Ooh.
Aaron Jones. I don't know if you've heard. I'm assuming you probably have. He wants to now bring the Lambeau Leap to the Vikings, but he wants to call it the Bank Vault. Wow. I want him stripped of all of his Green Bay pride. He will no longer be eligible for the Green Bay Hall of Fame. I want his name completely taken down from all anything to do with the Green Bay Packers. He used to be one of my favorites and instantly just became one of my least favorites. Maybe second only to Aaron Rodgers, obviously. But anyway, spur of the game coming up. Things that I want to see, things that I demand to see at this point of the season.
Well, first of all, I did not hear that. I would be interested in listening to it for myself. Just before I launch into, yeah, you're right, screw that guy. But I will say, as much as it might seem trivial, at the same time, I feel like a guy that played for the team as long as he did should have some level of respect for the organization, you know what I mean? And respect for the things like the Lambeau Leap. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I don't know. I'd have to find out the context of that, like how exactly that came about. Like, is he just messing around? Is he just joking? Because obviously it's not going to happen. In fact, I think the Lambeau Leap has been banned everywhere except Green Bay, so I don't think it can happen. But yeah, I guess that's just not a. I still love Green Bay. I will always love Green Bay. I'll always respect, what we've had there, what I did there, what we accomplished there. But, sometimes different things happen. That's sort of what we should do? We should say, screw you, Green Bay. We should have our own thing. We'll make it better. And we'll take something sacred in Green Bay, put it in the worst possible place in Minnesota, and we'll claim it as our own because screw them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, Aaron. Feel like them's fighting words, you know what I mean? Like, I guess you want to have problems. I thought we were cool, but I guess not. And I guess you want to go have problems. So that's fine. We can put you on the Aaron Rodgers list and the Davante Adams list of how about we be cordial after you retire? And until then, I guess it's screw you, dude. I don't know. I guess we'll do it that way. I wasn't going to take it there, but if that's how you want to do it, that's fine, I guess. That's your call. Anyways, let's continue. Things you demand to see.
Defensive line. I want to start actually seeing pressures and sacks. I want to start seeing their offensive line actually move backwards and stop just sitting there like waiting ducks. I cannot watch that anymore. It's garbage. I hate our defensive.
Pause, because Nate says naughty words. Okay, continue now that I bleeped it out.
Line right now, and I don't want to. The next thing is I really hope that Wicks can collect himself. I don't even know if he's playing. I feel like we've got so many injuries I can't even keep him straight anymore. Like people coming back and leaving and all that crap. I hope Jair is good to go 100% and is ready, because this cornerback group is hot dog without him.
Pause, because I have to fix Nate's swearing. Okay, continue.
It's always crazy to me that we drafted like 87 safeties, and we probably should have been focusing a little bit more on corner. Maybe have picked up like one or two guys, just get some new talent back there, because right now it is probably just not. I don't want to say worse than the league. I'm sure there's plenty of teams worse than us, but it's not good. And then I need to see Jordan playing better. Just got to see it. Got to see this offensive line actually do something. I know we're a little banged up, but let's go. Let's go. Let's kick it into high gear, and let's see this team actually play as good as it can. They'll go.
I mean, I don't 100% disagree. I think it was maybe I'm a little bit more optimistic about stuff. First of all, saying we shouldn't have focused so much on safety, but instead on corner. I mean, that's fine, only if we understand that the reason safety isn't a concern is because we did what we did. I don't want to get rid of our safeties. You could say, well, we can get rid of Oladapo, but do you really think we're going to go get ourselves a stud corner instead of Oladapo? Where did we draft him? Like the 6th round or something? So I don't know. I don't think it's worse than the league, especially with Jair. I think they do a pretty good job. Keyshawn actually played really well last week. We don't have... I don't know. I've been hammering on it, but it's not nearly as bad as you're making it out to be as far as being like last in the league. I would say they're middle of the pack. I don't know, maybe better than that when you incorporate Jair into the mix. Defensive line, yeah, it's bad. Mostly from a pass rush standpoint, though. Offensive line, I think, has done a good job. I think Jordan still remains one of the least pressured, sacked quarterbacks in football. And yeah, I mean, Jordan, I agree. I gotta see it, but just add in the caveat that we saw it last week. So it's kind of a need to see it again thing, not just I need to see it unlike ever. Just putting in some caveats there. But yeah, man. Look, they have to play well because it's the Texans and they're not a crap team. And you can't get away with some of the stuff you can when you play a crap team. It's possible they play a bad game, but let's just not count on that. Let's go out and play good football and beat them and move on with their lives. How about that?
Hey, Ryan, it's Draft Topics calling, and
Hey.
I just wanted to give my thoughts about the Vikings-Detroit game, and I've been trying to think of who to root for or who to root against. And I've come to the conclusion that I'm going to root against the Vikings.
Yeah, I think I am too.
I still think that the Vikings are going to fall off at the end of the season and that we can still overtake them. Detroit, I don't think they're going to fall off. They're going to be good. So, I'm hoping that, I don't want the Vikings to become a threat by winning too many games. If they knock off the Lions, they've got some easy games they're going to win. Now we bring another team into it. So I'd just rather it be us and Detroit battling it out. I think the Bears are going to fall off. And, you look at what Sam Darnold is doing. I mean, against the Jets, he had a 45% completion rate. He had 4 sacks. He has 14 sacks on the year. And they already had their bye. There's a number of games where he had like a 60% completion rate. It's just like he had an interception in every game but the Houston game. And in the Houston game, he fumbled, although they recovered it. But he's basically creating a turnover in almost every game. So, I don't think that's a sustainable path. And I think people overlook the bad until, the losses start coming. And once they start coming and the Vikings lose a little confidence, then I think the wheels will just come off. So, end of the season, Packers are going to win the division. Detroit's going to be 2, Vikings 3, or maybe even 4. I'm going to go with 3 for now, and Bears 4. I still don't believe in Caleb Williams either. I mean, I think he's a good player, but he's going to need time, so he's going to throw away a bunch of games, kind of like Will Levis does. So, all right, have a good one.
Yeah, I was torn on that as well. That'll be on tomorrow's podcast a little bit. Didn't go super in depth on it. Still kind of torn, but I think I have the same sort of rationale that you do toward those games. The only other thing that I would add into that is I want to see that I'm right about the Vikings. I can only say for so long that I think it's about to fall off. And then you see Darnold play poorly the last 2 games, and they still win. It's like, frickin' A, dude. It has to start soon because we're approaching halfway through the season. So, yeah, I mean, if Darnold plays well, if the team plays well, if they beat Detroit, it's like, dang it, dude, are we just going to... Because I know Detroit's going to be a decent team. I shouldn't say I know, but, I mean, it's really unlikely they're just going to be a bad team. I know the Hutchinson thing is a big deal, but that's going to happen. We need the Bears and the Vikings to regress. I can't do this 4 teams in the NFC North being good thing. And for all those that are like, no, it's good for us. No, it's not. You want the Bears to be a good team for the next 20 freaking years with Caleb Williams being the next Pat Mahomes? If you think that's going to benefit us, you're out of your freaking mind. That's not good for us. And if you think the Vikings being a good team with no quarterback, which nobody can be a good team with no quarterback, is a good thing, it's an awful thing. Because if they find a quarterback, or if J.J. McCarthy becomes a quarterback, we're beyond screwed. So this needs to be a fluke. This needs to be an illusion, and they need to go away, and they need to start losing. And I need Detroit, who, already has made that turn, and I don't think we're better for it. I don't think it's a good thing. Hey, remember when Detroit was terrible and they lost all the time, and now they're really good at football? Isn't that great? No, it's not. But they are. They're good now. They're a good football team. They're a playoff team. I don't know how long that's going to last. Maybe for a long time. Goff's only like 30. So there might be another 5 to 10 years of that. No, I need the Vikings to lose here. I can't, I'm not doing this.
Hey, Brian. It's Brian with a B.
Hey.
One quick question here. Is it bad that I want Rodgers and Adams to fail miserably? That's all I got. Go Pack Go.
No, because I don't know. I feel like we're delaying the inevitable here. Again, I can't speak for you and what your motivations are, but I don't know. I've made many different claims over the years, right? Such as Rodgers wasn't an elite player being dragged down by a terrible coach and a terrible offense and a terrible GM and all that stuff. None of that was true. I came around to the conclusion that Rodgers was a problem with him and his stature and his beliefs and his way of playing football. It became a problem not only organizationally, a problem in the locker room. It became a problem as far as the offense not working quite right. And that was a combative thing, right? Nobody wanted to, well, I shouldn't say nobody, but a lot of people didn't want to accept that. And then again, Rodgers leaves, and then Packers look good, Jets look bad. End of story, right? There we go. Fixed it, solved it. Also, the all-in people can suck my big toe, all right? Because you know what? They tried the all-in thing. They bought their quarterback. They bought, and they're not good. And now Devontae comes in, and it's like, come on, man. Like, you're just not going to stop until you frickin' get your way and prove that being a stupid organization who does everything wrong eventually gets it right. Because if they get it right, it doesn't change anything. I wasn't wrong about anything. But a lot of people are going to think I was, and a lot of people are going to start pulling receipts as though the last year and a half haven't happened, as though that didn't exist, as though all the organizational problems and the problems with the... all of a sudden, that doesn't exist anymore because Rodgers can just force-feed Devontae all day long and make it look like this was a genius plan all along, and really it wasn't. So no, I want this to fail as well. I just do. Sorry, I'm a Packer fan. Rodgers is not a Packer. Devontae is not a Packer. They chose to leave. Devontae didn't want to stay because he didn't believe in Jordan. He didn't think he could do it. He was wrong. Sorry, actions have consequences. Go enjoy your time with Rodgers, who also made a lot of bad decisions, who actually signed on with a team that does nothing but make bad decisions. That organization does not deserve to win anything. They're a joke. They do everything wrong. They don't understand how football works. They're not football people. Woody Johnson's not a football guy. He's a rich guy who bought a football team. All right? Mark Murphy, Brian Gutekunst, Matt LaFleur, these are football people in an organization that lives, breathes, dies football. And they do it right, and they've been doing it right, And that's a team that deserves to win. I like when people do good things and good things happen. I like when people do bad things and bad things happen. Would I be slightly surprised if they continue to suck? Almost a little bit, as much as it's like, it shouldn't surprise me because it's the Jets and this whole thing is stupid anyways. But it's like, how can you mess this up? I don't even know how the Jets can screw this up. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just Band-Aids on top of Band-Aids on top of Band-Aids on top of Band-Aids at this point. We've come to the point where we've recognized the offense and Aaron Rodgers' offense cannot work unless it has Devontae in it, because it just can't. It takes, like I said, years to get guys on board. The guys that are there are not on board. So what do? We don't really fix the problem until Rodgers to stop doing what he's doing. We just go out and buy all his old receivers. Band-Aids on top of Band-Aids on top of Band-Aids. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We got a call from Brooke in Chicago.
Hi, Ryan. This is Brooke from Illinois again. Hey. Hopefully I can get all this out in 3 minutes. Have a little list of things that I keep thinking of while I'm listening to the pods. One of the things I had to laugh about when you were talking about the Bear fans chanting Packers stuff during their games, I want to say that I remember being at games at Lambeau Field, plural, where we weren't playing the Bears, but I guess the game was over enough or we were ahead enough. I don't know. I know that I have been amongst Packer fans where we have just randomly started chanting the Bears still suck. So,
Brooke, just don't start with me, all right? Don't start with me, Brooke. Okay? Just don't.
I don't know if that means that they live rent-free in our heads or we just really like making fun of them. So, not sure if that contradicts what you were saying the other day, but I had to laugh about that while you were talking about the random teams having chants about their rivals. So, my first question is something that I've been wondering. So we had like at least 3 opportunities last weekend for a free play, and they kept blowing the plays dead. You know, it's like our team is known for that. Love obviously learned it from Rodgers, all that fun stuff. But why do they keep not giving us the free play? They keep blowing the play dead. I remember the very first one that happened on Sunday, and the whole crowd just started booing because they wouldn't let us have the free play. So is there a rule for that? Like, why do they blow it dead, or is it just up to the discretion of the refs? Do we know that? And then my next question.
So, as you probably know, because at least one other person called in about it. I think I've talked about it twice, if I'm not mistaken. But my understanding is that it's simply the discretion, and the NFL wants to start taking that away, probably for the sake of safety. So we used to get away with it all the time, and now it's starting to be blown dead all the time. And I know that really started to tick off Rodgers. It started to happen to him after the first few years of him getting away with that. And that's carried over into Jordan. Now Jordan's doing a really good job with the hard count, getting people to jump. And they're not giving us the free plays as much anymore. But yeah, I think that was one of those player safety emphases, where they, for the sake of the safety of the quarterback, they want to make sure that the refs, if there's any chance that guy that jumped off sides could get a unabated to the quarterback type of thing, that they're going to blow that dead. So I don't know this, but I kind of get the impression that, sometimes the defender will jump and then jump back. If he jumps back and then they throw the flag, I think they'll let it go because it's not really an advantage. If he continues moving forward, the refs are going to feel more inclined to feel like he has an advantage, and they don't want that guy with an advantage to eventually get to the quarterback, and then they're responsible for allowing the guy who jumped off sides to hit the quarterback, would be my thought. But I don't know.
I know that as Packer fans, we were kind of spoiled with Rodgers' ability to come back from scary deficits over the years. So I guess I'm just a nervous fan. But anytime we're ahead, even if it seems like we're ahead by a lot. I'm never quite comfortable until the game is over. And when they started to kind of dink and dunk on our defense at the end there, just obviously avoiding the deep stuff, obviously avoiding McKinney, but, it was like they kept getting these 5-yard pass, 8-yard pass, they were getting a whole bunch of first downs, and I was starting to get nervous because it was like one score and they could have been back in the game. So, we've got a lot of turnovers, but if we didn't have the turnovers, that dink and dunk was making me really nervous about the defense's actual ability to stop the other team.
I'm also the same way, by the way. I'm never comfortable, and so if we're winning, let's say we're up by like 14 points, and we're midway through the third quarter, if they get a first down, that's all it really takes. They get a first down, my reaction is don't let them come back. Please don't start playing soft. Please don't do this. 14 points, they can get it in no time whatsoever. It's so easy in a matter of seconds or minutes to fire down, get a touchdown, get a 3-and-out, heck, they can score 28 points by the time this thing is done. So let's just freaking tighten it up here a little bit.
I think I asked this question a lot with just like the punt returner versus the kickoff returner. Like, why are they two different players? Why don't they just have Nixon doing all of them? My time is up. I think I'm going to be done. Have a good day.
That was perfect. Perfect 3 minutes. They said it couldn't be done. So I'm starting to think maybe the NFL overthinks that, and Keyshawn Nixon may be the evidence of that. I think the NFL and special teams coordinators have a belief that there's two types of guys, which kind of makes sense. But with kick returners, you've got more of a straight line type of returner. It's at least it used to be. I don't know anymore. Now you're looking for something different. But it was a guy that is going to be running forward for 20 yards. He's not going to have to be quite as shifty. It's a slight little change to the left or to the right, and then, get to the sideline, get up the field. Punt return is a little bit more of a shifty type of a guy, so you got your Jaden Reeds and your, whatever, these quick change of direction type of guys. Somebody's right in your face as you catch it. There's guys all over the place. You're zigzagging all over. It is a different thing. But at the same time, I feel like maybe people are overthinking it too much, and the talent gap might be bigger more often than the gap between, the skill sets. In other words, Keyshawn Nixon is really good at this thing. And I don't know that saying, well, his skill set is more attuned to this and Jaden Reed's skill set is more like that, so we're going to let Jaden Reed do the punt return thing is as important as just being good at it. Even if you don't think Keyshawn is really built for punt returns or whatever the case may be, because a lot of it is, first of all, can you just catch it without dropping it? That'd be great. Second of all, can you just get north and south? Third of all, can you recognize and identify where you need to be quickly? Might be a little bit different with a punt returner, but I just think he has those skill sets, and that's kind of good enough for me. I don't need a secondary punt returner, really. If you have a good returner, if everybody sucks, yeah, fine. Maybe get a punt returner and a kick returner and it's something else. But at this point, I feel comfortable that Keyshawn can catch a ball without dropping it, and I feel comfortable that he has the quick reaction ability, the speed and vision and whatnot to grab a couple extra yards, and that's fine with me. I don't need anything else.
Okay, Ryan, so I have a hypothetical trade dilemma to ask you to see what you think.
Okay.
It's kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg, when it comes to what is more important for Green Bay to improve on, and could they improve it with a trade? Would it be a defensive end like Trey Hendrickson, who gets pressure on the quarterback, forces the quarterback to get the ball out faster, which then allows your defense in the backfield to play a little tighter coverage, which makes your defensive backs better, so they're not having to cover a guy for a long period of time? Or is it a Jace Warren scenario where he's covering the wide receiver so good that it buys the defensive ends more time to get to the quarterback. So which one do you think is more important for Green Bay to address? Because if it was me, I feel like Trey Henderson would be a better fit and better plug-in to replace Preston, who is clearly slowed down. And the defensive line as a whole has not performed great. When you look at the cornerback situation, you've got Jair. Keyshawn isn't who I would have picked to be on the outside either, but we do have X backing him up. So with that and Evan Williams playing out of his mind, I feel like the defensive end position is more important for them to address before the trade deadline. So, with Preston, he's gone next year, or they could release him next year. So, the guys that they have in the backfield, I think are serviceable. Stokes, I don't think they're bringing him back. So they're going to have to clearly do that in the draft and fill those spots. But I still think a defensive end like Trey Henderson is a much better investment than trying to draft another, Raz scorer, highlight kind of guy, high athletic like LVN, who's still not performing. These guys that they're drafting, developing are just not up to snuff lately. They're just not playing good enough. And you get a free agent like X, dude is the best safety in the game. So go out there and get the known quality person and plug them in. I'm out.
Well, first of all, I'm just going to have to give up because apparently nobody is in agreement with me on this. If I can get this stupid thing to start working. Hello there. Nobody's in agreement with me on the Lucas Van Ness thing. We cannot judge Lucas Van Ness this year without acknowledging that everybody's struggling, right? Like, in other words, if Lucas Van Ness right now is really the way that we should judge him, like this right now is real, it's who he is, it's who he would always have been no matter what the situation, then I feel like we should judge Rashawn based on this year and not any other year. Like, this is Rashawn, this is real, this is not anything about the scheme, and we should judge Preston based on this, and Kingsley and everybody else that's having a significantly worse year than they've ever had. It's not because of the scheme, it's not because of anything different, it's not because of any changes. Everybody just got really bad and everybody just sucks. That makes significantly less sense to me. So saying Lucas Van Ness isn't developing, I don't buy it. I don't. He had a whatever year last year, a rookie year, and then this year everything fell apart. I cannot judge Lucas Van Ness based on this year. I can't. Unless, again, I'm of the opinion that there's nothing weird going on and everything is absolutely perfect, and everybody just fell apart at the same time, not because of anything around them, but because they're all just really bad. So I can't do that. I don't know. I don't know if nobody agrees or if nobody's hearing me or what the situation is. To your question, though, I think if all things were equal, corner is more important than edge. I think the data's already been in on that. Giving more time to an edge rusher is more valuable than getting a better edge rusher with no time. Corners make your edges better. Because, again, pressure is not a matter of talent as much as it's a matter of time. Everybody's going to get to the quarterback eventually. If you have bad corners or linebackers or whatever, and the ball's coming out quickly, it doesn't matter who is on your team, nobody's going to get there. Now, if you're asking specifically, would you rather have Trey Hendrickson or J.C. Horn, and we also incorporate the current situation we're in, Hendrickson might make a little bit. I haven't looked at him recently. Let me look. I know he had been good for a while. I don't know if he's any good right now. Struggling a little bit right now, but the pressures are there for sure. 26 pressures on 158 attempts. I would probably rather go the Hendrickson route because I don't know that J.C. Horn really improves the situation for our pass rushers to be able to get home. And although I don't know if Trey Hendrickson would do anything where he is here, I would at least like to give him an opportunity. He's playing good football. I'll give it a shot. So to be clear, I take the corners over the edge guys, but in this specific instance, where I tend to trust the corners more than the edges to begin with, and I trust Hendricks over J.C. Horn, I would probably go with Hendrickson. I guess the only additional caveat there would be the age, but still, I don't know. All right, let's take our final break. We got one more call, and then we'll get into some of the calls that got skipped yesterday. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Howdy, this is Jared, the Uber driver from Texas, and I was just calling because you were talking about at Packernet After Dark about the whole college chant thing. I used to go to Texas Tech, and when we played OU, we would do OU sucks balls, and we would,
okay, sure.
We would make the O, we would make the U, and then after sucks, we would do like the fondlage thing with our hands. So, representing balls.
No, I get it.
It was a fun time. Fun time back then.
Good stuff.
Anyways, have a good day. Go Pack Go, and the Bears still suck. Bye.
Anyways, have a good day. All right, well, thanks for that illumination.
Ryan, I've been trying to contemplate a little bit of what's been going on with Dobbs, and it just, like you said, it's really hard to comprehend what's going on, mentally with him, emotionally. But like I said, he's an NFL player. He's living what a lot of us consider, a dream to be doing. And yet, he scores 2 touchdowns, and he's so nonchalant. It's like, I love it that he's all business, but maybe he's almost too much business. And to quote Sheryl Crow, if it makes you happy, why the hell are you so sad? Dude, it's like, you gotta smile about scoring touchdowns, man. Come on.
That is such a perfect way to phrase that. And I'm pretty ashamed to admit that song is a freaking banger. It's a good song when somebody says it and you just want to belt it out real loud, but you're doing a podcast, so you can't, although I could push pause, but I'm still not going to. I feel like a lot of songs, once you get to a certain part in your life, could be wrong, they go into sort of the nostalgia category where even songs or bands that kind of suck, you look back at it and you're like, that's a great song. That's a good song. That is perfect, though. If it makes you happy, why the hell are you so sad? It's a good question. It's a fair question. I think it is a fair question. Steve.
Hey, Ryan. Steve up in Lansing. Figured I'd give you a call, put down some information that I picked up, see if it's close or not. Driving back from Fairbanks, had to go to a doctor's appointment. Found out I got carpal tunnel in my hand, so I got to deal with that. But,
that sucks.
We got snow on the ground. I know nobody cares about me with stuff, but I'm saying it anyway. But what I'm calling about, I've done a little bit of looking into it because I was curious about it. I know a lot of us are talking about the turnovers rate that we have for our defense and how many we're getting. And, you said it and a lot of other people said it. It's like, we can't expect this to continue. You can't expect, sooner or later it's got to let up. Well, I went and looked. You might want to look too to confirm, make sure that I'm right. But I went and looked, and for the Green Bay Packers, the most turnovers our defense has gotten in one season was the 81 team, and I believe the number was 54 turnovers. So if you look at that in terms of there was 16 games, I think they were playing a 16-game schedule then. That's 3 turnovers a game average. That's more than 3 turnovers a game average. Right now, we're averaging just over 2. So we're not even on pace for the best the Packers have ever done in turnovers. We could actually pick up the pace some more and have more turnovers a game. So I think we all got to hold up on this. It's going to back off and it's going to slow down. This could just be a season where we're just going to take the ball away from everybody all the time. We're only on pace right now for 34, 35 turnovers. That's way short of what the previous record was. So I think we should all start saying that maybe this new coach that we got in, our new defensive coordinator, and the way the guys are playing, it's just going to be a bit of a turnover machine for us. We're just going to kind of do this for, if it's just this season. One other thing I want to mention that we all got to pay attention to here is that we did change our defensive team in total. We went, going from a 3-4 to a 4-3. Now, if anybody happens, remember when we did that previously, went from a 4-3 to a 3-4, we had to give up on a couple of really quality players. Aaron Campton is the one that comes to mind the most.
Yeah.
He's a good defensive end. We went to a 3-4. The guy was useless, and we had to let him go. So there's going to be a possibility here that some of these guys that were good last year, we're going to end up having to get rid of because they just don't work in the 4-3. And the last thing I wanted to mention, because I don't know, I'm sure you caught it, I'm sure everybody's caught it, and I hope we've all enjoyed the heck out of it, is listening to Jerry Jones just freak out on those reporters and just blow his top. And
so 3 minutes. You know what? I'm gonna. Let's do your second call here before we kind of dive back in, because I do remember this call. I spent a lot of time on your call, which also sucks. Part of the reason I was so upset yesterday, I did a lot of research on it. So I'm glad we got back to it. But let's just finish up the call and then we'll double back.
Sorry, 3-minute guy got me. But yeah, he's going to go and find somebody else to do interviews with him. Who are they to ask him questions? The reporters. It's their job to ask him questions. And his problem is he knows he screwed up and he can't admit that he made a mistake and answer the questions honestly. Man, watching the Cowboys fall apart this season is just great.
It's good stuff.
So, yeah, I'm going to let you guys go. I shouldn't even be on this phone anyway. This icy road, and I got somebody in front of me driving extremely stupid. But y'all take it easy. Go back. Let's get another win this weekend.
By the way, Steve did not call back since that. So do us a favor, give us a call, hopefully during the game or after the game tomorrow. Every time somebody's like, oh, yeah, I'm driving and it's icy and I'm doing 100 miles an hour and, I might die. It's like, hey, yeah, why don't you give me a call, bud? Make sure you're doing okay. All right, so first of all, yes, Dallas imploding is the greatest. It's not the greatest thing ever, but it's pretty great. I mean, considering the NFC North is doing well. Outside of the 49ers imploding, which, I mean, if they're playing the Chiefs this week, if they lose, where do they fall to? Like 3-4 or 2-4 or something bad. I don't know what it is, but it's something bad. 3-5 maybe. Outside of that, I'll take a Dallas implosion. They're just, I don't know. They seem like it's weird because they're not bad. Like they go to the playoffs and they have talent and they can be scary, like top defenses and top quarterback, top receiver. Like they have these things that are good, but somehow you always still end up laughing at them. I don't understand. It's a weird thing. It's like a poorly run team that somehow is a well-run team. I don't know. It's very odd. But, yeah, you just watch them throw a ton of money at a lot of guys, and Jerry Jones is never happy. Like I said, it seems like he just hates Dak, but he can't get rid of him. The fans hate Dak. I don't know. It's a weird situation, but it's funny. All right, so to your main point in the first call on turnovers, couple things. First of all, I think the major point I was making had more to do with like season to season. Obviously, there's a lot of teams will have seasons with high turnovers. I mean, that does happen. It's not the case that nobody ever has a lot of turnovers, because even if you get a hot start, you're always going to regress back to the mean. No, I mean, sometimes teams just have good years, and this might just be a good year for the Packers. However, where do I even begin with this? Look, Jeff Hafley made a comment recently in his press conference. We didn't go over it, but I heard his comment, and he's just wrong. I appreciate his perspective because I don't want a coach to think something different. I like that he tries really hard to generate turnovers, but his comment was something to the effect of, I don't believe turnovers have anything to do with luck. Again, I appreciate having a defensive coordinator that says that and maybe even believes that, but he's wrong. He's just flat out wrong. There was a study done by Harvard Sports Analysis Collective, found that approximately 54.7% of seasonal turnover differential is due to luck, while 45.3% can be attributed to skill or talent. So you've got skill and talent matter. So that'll give you sort of a baseline of how good you are. And I think Hafley can control that. And Gutekunst can control that with how much talent you have. You can get certain players that have better ball skills, or certain schemes that emphasize it, or coaches that emphasize it, or whatever the case may be. You can have a baseline of how good you are, but then on top of that is layered a bunch of noise. And I think what we're seeing with the Packers is compounding effects of a team that has emphasized it and has a baseline of, a relatively high number, and then also all the luck in our favor. And that ends up with a team getting a ton of turnovers. But that's not necessarily a sustainable thing. Now, to your further point of, we've actually had teams with more turnovers, so, there's every reason to believe that we can have more. Look, there's been a lot of teams over a lot of seasons. Take 30, I know there's been different numbers of teams and whatnot, but let's take 32 teams over 100 years. The math isn't that hard. It's a lot of teams. That's a lot of teams. And so if you imagine each game is like a coin flip, over, let's say, 16 games, you're going to have some seasons where there were 14 heads. Dang it. 14 heads. I can't even scratch my leg without bumping this thing in a way that makes it cry like a freaking sissy. Sorry about that. You touched me. Freaking jag off. This thing is annoying me. Technology is getting on my nerves lately. I think I know I think it's this stupid little box here, because all the problems come back to this thing. My microphone's plugged into it. It's just, I know it's you little jerk. Defective box idiot. But I can't afford a new one, so we're just going to power through. I'm going to call it names, and then we'll just leave it at that. There are going to be seasons where it comes up like 14 heads and 2 tails, maybe even 16 heads, whatever, when you have that large of a sample size. The point is, though, if you come into this, and let's say through 6 games, we have 5 heads already, and I'm saying, look, I don't know that continues getting heads every single week. The fact that at some point in history there were, 16 heads came up, doesn't really change the fact that I don't really see us continually hitting heads every week. But, I do believe that this team, let me put it this way, I don't think it's a coincidence that we get a coach that emphasizes turnovers and we get more turnovers. I'm not saying it's entirely luck and that, we would have had this under, a different defensive coordinator. I don't think that's true. I think that there is a skill component to it. I think there's a scheme component to it. But I also think there's been a decent amount of things that have gone in our direction that I don't necessarily think stay that way. And maybe it does for the rest of the season. I don't really know how long it lasts. But let me see if it's on here, the season-to-season, because the season-to-season numbers are ridiculous. I know, I pulled it up last time. I don't know if I have it this time. Let's see. Here we go. Teams with double-digit positive turnover margins saw an average decrease of 10.5 in their margin the following year. So we're talking about turnover margin. That is, I got more turnovers than you did. We got 2, you got 1, we got 3, you got 2, whatever. A decrease in 10.5 in their margin the following year. Think about that. The best you could possibly do in a season is 17. 17 games you had a positive turnover margin. And I guarantee you don't have 17. 10.5 decrease on average is crazy. Teams with double-digit negative turnover margins improve by an average of 14.5. That's massively ridiculous. Furthermore, the correlation between turnover differential from one year to the next is only 0.086, which is not statistically significant, which is essentially to say there is zero correlation. In other words, let's say we end up with, I don't even know what a high number is. We get 50 turnovers. I don't even know if that's possible. I have no idea what the number is. We got 50 turnovers this year. Next year saying, I think we're going to get X, Y, and Z. If you're telling me you're basing it on last year, I think, it's going to go down a little bit, but it'll still be high 40 or whatever. You're still wrong. There is no, zero, nada correlation from one year to the next. There just isn't. Oh, I know another thing that I looked at. I'm not going to pull it up, but I can tell you kind of what the situation is. The highest number of turnovers I think the Green Bay Packers have ever had was 2011, believe it or not. They were number 1 in turnovers. The next year they dropped to 8th, and I think the next year they were like 23rd. One of the worst in football. It might even been more drastic than that. But that was roughly what it looked like. So I'm excited that we're getting a lot of turnovers. I think it's a good thing, and I hope it continues at least to some degree. But I guess the biggest point that I would make is that turnovers are more than 50% luck. And so generally speaking, if we had 10 turnovers, 5 to 6 of those were luck-based, and 4 to 5 of those might have been skill-based. But to your point, it's not as though it's impossible for that to continue, because there have been teams with significant numbers of turnovers. Happens every year. Maybe that's the year that the Packers are going to have. I don't know. But the problem I have with things like turnovers is that from game to game, play to play, year to year, they're not a skill-based thing. And so it's not something you can depend on, right? When the best quarterback in football steps onto a football field, I have some level of dependability that he's going to play at a high level, because a lot of what he does is a skill-based thing. And that was the biggest concern I had for the defense as a whole, is the things that made the defense good were not skill-based, they were luck-based. And that scares the crap out of me. Now, again, last week I saw a skill-based defense, which made me feel a lot better. But I think that's just kind of my largest concern with it, is not that it's impossible that it continues, but that we're basing a lot of what we have going for us on luck. So, anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. Apologies to anybody that got skipped over, but I'm going to get up out of here. You guys have a good rest of your day. We'll plan on doing the chat again tomorrow for the game, or today, excuse me. No, tomorrow for the game. Whatever. I don't know which podcast I'm doing, but you can sign up for free at packernet.substack.com. It's a little bit confusing to get over there. I don't know why notifications don't seem to be going out. I've got some other things that I subscribe to, and when they start up a chat, I get an email about it. I maybe you guys are. I don't get an email, so I have to send out a special thing. I don't know. It's freaking annoying. But once you find it, it's a good time. So come hang out. We're not going to take a break. We're going to leave. Have a good night. Bye-bye.